Okay, so it's 9 o'clock. It's 5 hours until Loki releases in my area because it releases at 2 a.m. for me. And so I'm going to watch it as soon as it comes out. And I'll record like my first reactions as I watch it, of course. And yeah, it's going to be really exciting. I'm definitely going to release a breakdown video in a couple days and a couple theory videos, possibly. And definitely, I'll do a spoiler free review and then a spoiler review. So make sure you pay very close attention to those titles and those descriptions so that way you don't get anything ruined for you. But guys, I am so excited for this, man. Um, I'll admit, I was more excited for Falcon and the Winter Soldier than what I am excited for Loki going into this. But that doesn't change the fact that I'm still extremely excited, and this is going to be really fun. So I guess jump cut, and I'll see you when it gets closer to time. All right, we're less than an hour in. Man, this anticipation, it's crazy and surreal, guys. Um, I would say you have no idea, but I mean, you're waiting just like I am, so of course you know how it feels. But this is pretty exciting. I mean, I don't know what to say about it. Um, I do have some big expectations going in, right? So, like I said, my expectations are slightly lower um, for this than what they were for Falcon and the Winter Soldier going into that. And that's just because I like Captain America more than I like the Captain America like storylines more than I like the Thor storylines personally. They were kind of boring in my opinion until Thor Ragnarok. So, and I know like Loki is pretty independent of that and everything, but he still derives from that section of the Marvel fandom. So, I naturally have lower expectations for the two shows in general. But that aside, I still do have really high expectations. I'm going to expect a lot of comedy because it's Loki. I mean, think about it. Like the Timekeepers Association, like whatever that organization is called. I keep forgetting it, the exact name, but their main focus is keeping order in the timeline, right? That's the whole thing is order, and they're hiring the god of chaos and mischief into their organization that's all about order, right? It doesn't make sense. So yeah, there's gonna be chaos in a place that's meant to be with order, and that's gonna set up a lot of funny scenes, but it's also gonna set up a lot of dramatic scenes, right? Um, we have to keep in mind that this is not the same Loki that died in Endgame, right? This Loki is the same Loki that tried to take over Earth from New York City in the battle in the first Avengers movie. So it's a bit of a de-evolved Loki, if that makes sense, right? This Loki's been through less stuff than our Loki that we're used to. He's still a villain in a lot of ways, right? He hasn't hit that arc yet. So, you're gonna have like the main big bad of the series, which won't be Loki, but then you're also gonna have Loki himself, who is also a villain, right? When you have the main protagonist of a series be a villain, I mean, it's gonna be interesting, right? The plot threads are probably going to be kind of complex, and that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm pretty excited for that complex plots because then that's theory fuel, right? And I like theorizing, and so does Psycho-kun. So that'll be fun. Um, I'm also interested. Okay, so if Loki gets put in prison, right? I don't and from this organization starting out because when we see him in the trailers, he's in handcuffs, right? So if he's in handcuffs and he put him in prison for even a small amount of time, right? I'm interested to see how he reacts to that, right? Because we kind of saw it in Thor: Dark World, with Loki showing his vulnerabilities. But like I said, that's not the same Loki, right? The Loki from Dark World is slightly different because he's been living slightly longer than the Loki that we're gonna have in the Loki series. So my question is, going into it, is there going to be enough time where Loki is in that state of captivity where he starts to show some of these vulnerabilities, right? I like to say that Loki has to have vulnerabilities because he's a man, but technically he's an Asgardian man, which means he's a god to smear mortals on Midgard. Sorry, moving the camera around a lot. I'm using my phone's camera and I'm holding it with my hand as I'm walking around the studio. So like that's why everything's moving around so much. So this is definitely going to be very interesting and intriguing, and we're going to see whole new sides and aspects of this Loki character through this Loki variant that we've never seen before. I did a breakdown of this show from the first trailer already on the series, and there's a lot there. There's a lot to unpack. And the thing is we know for a fact that this series in the long term is going to be more impactful than WandaVision. And it's definitely going to be more impactful than Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Don't get me wrong, both of those series are extremely important. Both of them set up important things for the future of the MCU. But so is this. And I'd argue that this is going to do even more of that, right? Because WandaVision sort of gave us a hint of the multiverse. I mean, it talks about her being a Nexus. And we see her in that post-credit scene, and I believe it's a possibility that she might have been looking into alternate universes for her kids, or she could have been looking into hell. But the thing is in the MCU, or in Marvel Comics in general, hell is an alternate universe. It's the same thing. That being said, we know that Wanda's gonna be in the Multiverse of Madness, so obviously that WandaVision's important. We see at the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier that they're setting up the Thunderbolts team. We know that's important. They also have the Power Broker, working as a U.S. agent. So they got all these things set up. But Loki is going to set up more, right? Loki is actually going to explore other timelines and other branches in the multiverse in depth. And that is exciting, right? We got a tiniest hint of that in Avengers Endgame. And we're probably going to get a version of that in Spider-Man No Way Home. I imagine it's going to be like the first Sony Avengers film, kind of, where all of the Spider-Men are coming together, and it's going to be like an Avengers Spider-Man film. That'd be pretty interesting to see. I'm not going to lie. This isn't about No Way Home. This is about Loki. And Loki is going to introduce so many new concepts to the MCU, and I'm really excited for that. My expectations, don't get me wrong, they are extremely high. I don't know. So hopefully they're met. You'll figure out if they're met as you continue to watch this video. But I can only rant about my expectations for so long before you start to get bored, and I don't want you to skip. So we'll go ahead and jump cut to when I'm starting to watch it. Okay, I'm sitting in... Well, actually, this is that slide. Okay. I'm sitting in one spot now, so this is nice. And now I'm not moving around like crazy. It just opened up on my Disney Plus about 5 minutes early. That's actually 1:57, so it's 7 minutes early. I'm getting ready to watch it right now. I think I could show you this. This is just a still frame. So that's really exciting. Okay, guys. So I didn't actually record my reactions as I was having them during the show I thought I was going to, because I was just so invested and interested in the show. It was really good. And I'm really tired now because it's 3:20 now as I'm recording this. It's crazy because it took us a bit to actually get started because Saikyo-kun wanted to watch it at the same time as me, so we did the group watch on Disney Plus, which we were having issues with that. But we got that figured out. So it took us a bit though. And I was looking at other stuff after that was over with to look at other people's reactions just to get a feel of other people, see if they agreed with me or not. And for the most part, I'm pretty sure they do. It didn't make my expectations. That's not a good thing. I mean, let me rephrase it. That's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing, right? And what I mean by that is what I expected is different than what I saw. It's not that it surpassed my expectations. It just did something different, which I think was really cool. I figured I'd see Loki. Well, I'm not gonna. I won't say what was different because this is a spoiler-free after all review and reaction. But what I will say is it was really cool. And the first episode, if they were telling the truth in the first episode, will have monumental ramifications on everything else in the MCU, including past films. Like there's things that um, like when they talk about like the multiverse or like timelines, you know, and Avengers Endgame, for example, when they're talking with when the Hulk is talking to the Ancient One, and she's like, remove one of these Infinity Stones, and like the timeline changes. Um, Listening to that line changes after you watch this episode, and you'll know that after you watch this episode. So if you haven't seen this episode yet, I highly recommend that you watch it. If you're on the fence about watching Loki, I highly suggest that you watch Loki because it was a really good show. Um, and I was and you know it's just like we get to see Loki in a different way too. Like um, because he's got like the same personality that we expect him to have, even though it's a different Loki than what we saw in Infinity War. It's the same Loki we saw in Avengers, and so like he develops the same personality, but it's slightly different. Um, this Loki's gonna learn things differently, and it's kind of cool. Um, the big villain for the show was revealed, but I won't say who that is in this spoiler free review. What I will say though is it didn't surprise me necessarily, but it did intrigue me. Right, I'm very intrigued, um, and I'm curious to see how our protagonist Loki deals with this mystery antagonist. So it'll be interesting to see for sure. Um, I will say that the antagonist is someone that Loki should be pretty familiar with, and oh, Owen Wilson, by the way, he's born to be a Marvel actor. Okay, Owen Wilson did an amazing job playing Mobius, and I'm couldn't have asked for a better actor for Mobius. I think Owen Wilson is going to nail that role, and I really hope that he's able to come back and reprise his role as Mobius in more things than just Loki because he did a really good job. But that is my review. I will have a more in-depth spoiler review later on, and in that review, I'll also give some theories. I might break down a couple Easter eggs that I see, and